I read the first 5 volumes of One Punch Man. I like One Punch Man mainly because I watched the first season and the second season of the animated show, and I was kind of interested in the manga, and it took me a while to read it. I have all of them, even like the new ones that have come out. I don't know why I've put it off for so long, but I figured I'd start now. And I think after reading these first 5 so far, I think I'm starting to prefer the books to the show. The first season of the show, I mean, stellar animation, everyone has talked about it since it came out in 2016, 2017 maybe? Season 2, people had their complaints about the animation. Me, I'm kind of either easily entertained or I have watched worse animated projects, so it never really affected me. I still found it kind of entertaining. They definitely lean more into the comedy aspect in season 2, more of the comedic beats. At least that's what I noticed. The first 5 volumes of One Punch Man, I mean, it was a lot of the same, like regurgitation of what the show did in each of its episodes. But I was also surprised towards the end of these, we see a lot more of the main character Saitama, or One Punch Man. His backstory and his upbringing a little bit, him as a kid, and it was very interesting to see that he's been growing up with these monsters, rising and getting more powerful, and him having to deal with all these different creatures. He's even had to deal with these monsters and these villains since he was a child, which is kind of funny. And we see in this photo he's chasing after one because stole his money. And it was also interesting and cool to see how he was as a kid, and he's considerably a slacker and kind of lost, or at least just has no direction for his life, a daydreamer. And I don't know, it was just kind of fun to see him go through that and be okay, this is an interesting beat for Saitama, because Saitama is very much, at least as we know him as One Punch Man, is very bored, very oh, whatever, none of this is fun for me, why am I still even doing this? Another thing, I think takes place in volume 2, he's giving a life lesson to a kid he saved from this snow monster, and it's a long thing about what do I do, I'm scared, and him giving life advice was really nice to see, because I feel in the show I never really saw as much of that. I think I saw a little bit of it in the first season, at least how he dealt with stuff philosophically and where his mind was at, but to see him lay advice onto someone who needed help was pretty cool to see. It was more authentic to what a hero would do. In other volumes, I think it might have been also 2, or I think it was volume 3 actually, we see him actually training, starting to see his development, which I thought was really cool. It's kind of funny to see more of Saitama with hair, which I also thought was funny. If you see me keep looking over, I'm looking at photos for references. And another cool aspect it's I think we see a lot of it in season 2 of the show, is who he has inspired to become better and become more of a hero. We have this guy, I'll show a photo here. He was an underling for Blizzard. Blizzard is her name. Blizzard, and he was not even good at his job of being a distraction or even a brute. He was just very one note. Saitama eventually did save him from a villain. He had this whole philosophy of you're born special, no amount of hard work will ever do anything. And Saitama essentially was who set those goals up? Was it everyone, or was it just you? Were you in your own head? And he saw Saitama have this relatability towards him, and that inspired him to realize that sure, he's not going to be the greatest, but he's going to try and be the best version of himself, which I love to see that. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Another thing I also enjoyed was like the designs of like all the villains. Like the show does a good job, but like in black and white format, I don't know, something about it just makes it more intense. I don't know how to, like the shading on like the Fish King guy when he gets more powerful. I'll show it here. I just think it's such a cool design. I really dug it because we get a lot more of like bonus stuff in these manga, and we see like all the types of villains he's had to deal with and like kind of the ridiculous get-ups and outfits. I mean, we get that plenty in the show, but just to see a little bit more was pretty fun. Quick side note, this is after I recorded. I love this cover. Just because Moonman Rider is very much a hero that gets laughed at and is very much, he's the essence of like a superhero, like helping the little guy, doing all like the, you know, not focusing on too much of the big clashing of worlds type of events, but more focusing on like helping out your neighbor and helping out people in need. And I just think this cover and what happens within this is just such a perfect characterization of who Moonman Rider is. There's really only one thing I never really liked about One Punch Man, and that's like a specific character that like me personally I just do not really like, and that's Puri Puri Prisoner. It just, I don't know, it's like a hard character for me to really like, and I think his abilities are kind of funny and kind of cool, but like his whole thing of like he's got a crush on a lot of the male heroes, but it's done in a very jokey but like bad way of like, oh, I'll give them all types of love, and it's just like they don't want it and you're like assaulting them. And and they play that up as like a joke, and I don't know, I never really found it that funny, but that's me personally. Overall, I think I prefer the manga to the show. Not to say the show, again, is bad, but to reiterate, I like all the extra stuff that the books give me. Like I said, just more of like Saitama backstory and like all the more funny adventures he's been up to. I will continue reading this. This is a first part of many, I think. So I hope you guys liked the video. Maybe this inspired you to read One Punch Man if you haven't read it. But yeah, I'll see you guys in another video.